Wow, okay, here we go. I'm Jessy. I gotta say, when I was reached out about doing this, I was immediately intimidated because I've never thought of myself as a guitarist. That's actually the thing that I personally have the most anxiety about when it comes to performing and stuff. So I reached out to Neil Manette and I was like, what is this thing about? Like, does he know that I'm not like you? Like, I don't shred on the guitar and stuff. And he's like, yeah, no, like, you're fine. You should do it. It's a good experience. And so I'm glad that he said that. And all that being said, my goal for, I guess my overall message and goal for the presentation, I guess what we call it, is just to hopefully demonstrate that whether skill level you're at or comfort level you're at with an instrument, it doesn't have to stop you from expressing yourself creatively through it. I've always felt more like a singer and a songwriter first, and I make a lot of stuff up on guitar. I don't have any music theory background. I can't play by ear, but I don't let it stop me from pursuing a musical path. And I've grown a lot from just performing and stuff, but I'm never gonna be like a lead guitar player, you know. So that's kind of my message overall, and I'm gonna be playing a bunch of originals and sharing a little bit about my approach to writing them with what I just said in mind, and some stories about recording where it's applicable and stuff like that. So the first one I'm going to play is my song called Machine, which is this song is really dear to me because it was the first time I wrote something, and it was years ago. It was the first time I wrote something where I felt that feeling of like, oh, maybe I can do this, you know? And it's mostly just two chords. I throw in a third chord at the start of the choruses. But even that being said, I still felt something when I wrote this. And so that's why I'm going to start here, because it's kind of at the beginning of my story, both lyrically too. Screaming to the open road, illusion of euphoria flickers across the windshield. I wish things could be that real. Springtime sun beating down on me, snow so white I'm blind to see. Oh, to actually be this free. And I think you're the one, but you don't think past next week. What if I made it about me? Just another day fighting the same tired routine, and no one can change it except me. I stand on the asphalt. Why would we put this on mountaintops? It goes unanswered in the air. Still I wanted to be here. Horizon lines turn back at me, beckoning yours in my dreams. If I don't go, will I be? If I made it about me, just another a little, I guess it'd be everybody, but a little more vocal just because I have a strained voice and I'm trying not to overdo it tonight. Also, I'm playing a lot of stuff in like lower keys for that reason, but it's okay. What do I want to do next? So I'll do a song called 80K, which is about the Adirondacks, obviously. And what do I want to say about this one? I'll talk about the recording process for this one a little bit. So I have an album out, and a lot of the songs on the album are full band, but there's a couple that are more like folky, like fully acoustic arrangements. And so this one is one of those. And I always knew I wanted upright bass on it to kind of fill in like the groove that I play. And so I had my friend Joey Arcuri come in and play upright bass and cello on it. And that kind of like took it to a whole another world that I really love. And then the most fun part was I had all these recordings from being up in the Adirondacks, like on my phone, just like cell phone recordings, and like of a stream or when I was paddling like a bullfrog. And the hardest thing was I was on a fire tower, and I was trying to record the sound of wind through my cell phone without it like going like, you know, and sounding all messed up. And I remember just being on the cell tower or the fire tower with my best friend for like 30 minutes this one day, just like with my phone out, trying all different ways to record the wind, because there's a line in the song that says, "Scatter me in the Adirondack wind." And I really wanted there to be like a sound there. And we had samples that my producer found online that we were using, but I was like, I just want to know that there's at least a little piece of real like wind from being up in the mountains on the record. And I brought him all these recordings, and he was like, you know, they make microphones you can plug onto your cell phone. That would have made this a lot easier, right? Or like the little, what's it called?
The Zeppelin screen.
Yeah, the wind screens. And he was like, you can buy one that just plugs in. I was like, oh, well, next time I have to add wind to a song, I'll do that. And then there's also a loon call at the beginning of the song that also my best friend, I wasn't actually there for this, but I've obviously heard loons in the Adirondacks. On the timeline we had, I didn't have time to go find a loon to like record, but she had recently been on a paddle trip up there and took a video of a loon, and she mentioned that, and I was like, wait, can I have that video, because I can extract the audio from it. So even the loon you hear in the beginning is actually from the Adirondacks, and it was my best friend's video, so it's just special for a lot of reasons. And it's kind of like a silly song, but I like to say it's my silly yet spiritual song, because I touch on like my spirituality a little bit and what I think happens, or what I want to happen when we pass, and where I want to end up, like my soul goes back to the mountains type thing. I'm spacing out at my desk, wondering what has happened to my vitality. It looks like I left for no coincidence, and shifting beige from green. From here I don't hear the loons, can't see the light refract through branching hemlock trees. Yeah, this is okay for now, but I know deep down something more is waiting. I would breathe again if I got back to that land. I would breathe again. Oh, tell me, when will this end? This ain't your average any warmth. Cause we don't just exist, it's a symbiosis. So I've never felt so pure. I can breathe again, stepping foot in this land. I can breathe again, and I don't want it to end. Just another day dreaming about when I might return to that hallowed region. There's nowhere like it in the world. Someday when I'm dead, body burnt to ashes and spirit departed back to that slice of heaven, the place my soul's always been. Please don't go crying. Just scatter me in the Adirondack winds, and I'll go flying all across the soil, finding my permanent home where I first awakened. If I don't breathe again, lay me down in this land. So when I don't breathe again, my peace never has to end. I always freak people out with that little outro there. My bad.
There's a lot of records.
It's out. You can find it. Okay, I'll do this song called Hello Venus. I like this one. Sometimes I feel like because I don't know what I'm playing, it leads to idea, like I don't kind of like you were talking about, you like to feel like not closed into a box. And I think that is oftentimes a benefit of not knowing what I'm doing sometimes, because I don't know, like, I don't have the frame of reference to be like, oh, typically, like, this comes after this, and this next song, I kind of feel like is an example of that type of approach, where it was two separate ideas that I decided to smush together, and it required, like, a tempo change, and I probably would have never thought to do that, like, if I didn't know if that was weird or not. And I didn't realize it was weird until I finally, like, acquired a band to play with. And on my very first ever band practice with my brand new band for my first, like, show ever that we were preparing for, I was so excited because I had just finished writing this one, and so I brought it to them. And they didn't say it in the moment, but after, like, it stuck and it lasted and they were still my bandmates, they're like, yeah, after that first practice, that first song you showed us was, like, it was not a good one to dive into, and it was like, we were like, what is going on? Like, what did we sign ourselves up for with this girl? And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I just didn't know. So yeah, I had, the slower parts are the chorus. I had, like, that melody and lyrics already written, like, just a recording to myself on my phone. And then I was working on the opening part, which is like a finger picking thing, and it's like the up-tempo part of the song. And I was like, I don't know what to do for a chorus. And then I remembered that I had that thing saved in my phone, and I was like, oh wait, that could fit. It's like similar concepts, but the tempo's way off, and if I speed it up, the melody's not going to sound good anymore, so I just decided to slow down. Hello Venus, we've up here just in time. For me to sit and watch you take your place among these mountain skies. Well, there are many stars in view from this hillside. I had no idea something so far away would burn so bright. Hello Venus, were you there all along? You've been shaded by these normal nights, no stranger to the fog. Now that I've noticed, there's no way to undo how I'm imagining the darkness. It's like you managed to harness the light of the moon. In truth, when the sun sets, I need a telescope to dissect the swirling cosmos in my head. And I hope you don't see through me, because some things are better left blurry. Hold on, Venus, this might be a long time. What takes you a day to do takes me 365. In the meanwhile, my subconscious eyes turning counter to your clockwise. It's not like I've ever known otherwise. Oh, tonight, when the sun sets, I need a telescope to dissect the swirling cosmos in my head. And I hope you don't see through me, because some things are better left blurry. So blurry, no one can see where my edges in the night meet, or pity around the feet, avoiding any feeling. Venus, I hate that he was right, but I may have known you more than I let on before tonight. As you sink beneath this bridge line, I ponder waiting for the sunrise. At least then I could say I tried to rid myself of this disguise. Your flicker fades too fast for me to bid goodbye. Goodbye. I meant to play that one lower because I forgot that my voice is strange. Sorry about that. Okay. So that was like an example to me of, also, does anyone have questions? I'm not used to like presenting, so if anyone has a question, just shout it out. If don't, yes.
Yeah, two questions. First, you can change your pitch to any key as you need.
Yeah, so like I use a capo a lot. So like that last song I played on capo too, so this is an A shape, so I think that makes it a B chord. So it's like the key of B, right? But like I'm before I came here, I was like, oh, I'm gonna play it a half step down today because my voice is like not healthy. So is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can change your voice to suit the situation.
Yeah, totally. I had a voice. I took voice lessons when I first started performing because I would do a gig and I would lose my voice, and I was like, I must be doing something wrong. And so I started taking voice lessons, and she was the first person that introduced the concept of like, just because you can sing it in a certain key doesn't mean it's the ideal key for the song. And that like was like a mind-blowing concept to me. So then when moving forward as I was writing songs, and even I would revisit some of my songs I already had written, and I would ask myself like, is this really like where I want the capo? Like, could I put it in a different position or play it in a different key, and maybe it would actually suit the song better? And so I played around with that a lot after she brought that up, and it's been really helpful to like think about it that way. So yeah, like the first song I did, I played a half step down. I prefer it in the other step. I just think it shines more that way, but I'll adjust it if you need it. I try to only do that if my voice is strained, because I don't, like if I know I can sing it in a certain way and that's what suits the song, I'll stick to that, if that makes sense. Yeah.
The other question, you're an original songwriter. Do you, this is a sort of cliche question, but do you do the chords first or the words?
It's always different. I should probably point that out more as I go through, because that's actually, thank you for, yeah, that was part of what I plan to do, is like point out my different approach. I might have forgot the first two, but it's always different. Sometimes it's the melody first, sometimes I find a chord, like a picking part I like, and then I build it around that. Sometimes I have just a concept and neither the melody or the chords, and I just know like what I want the title to be, or like what I want the overall metaphor of the song to be, and I work from there. This next one I'm going to do is an example of a song where I came home and I just started singing like the whole first part out loud to myself, and I took like a little recording of me doing that, and then I revisited like a week later, and I went back and like found the chords and the notes that I wanted to fit the melody. And I was going to say a little bit more about this song. So yeah, I decided once I started trying to figure out what I wanted to play to this melody and these lyrics I already written, that I wanted to be really stripped back and like kind of almost like pick along with the melody as much as possible. And so this would be an example of when it's a challenge to not be able to play by ear, because what I'm about to play took me forever to figure out, and it probably would have taken like my friend Neil 5 minutes to figure out. So yeah, and it's a song about kind of my relationship with harmful beauty standards, and like how it makes me afraid of aging, even though aging is like, it should be seen as a positive thing, but especially for women, like I feel like there's just like this stigma around getting older and like showing signs of aging. Yeah, I wrote it on New Year's because my birthday is near New Year's, so I was like, another year older, another new year. It's like a lot at once, you know? Anyway, it's called Hourglass. Can't pause the clock. It takes on no matter what. Fine lines on my face. They say age with grace, but I still feel like a kid. Why do I resist? man asked for my ID as he reads the proper days. He tries apologizing. I told him, hey, I'll never complain if you underestimate my age. He said you wouldn't believe all the women I greet who say the same damn thing. Oh, and isn't it sad? We put our worth in an hourglass where sandcastles were made. We grow up to hate the image now reflecting back. But it is what it is, and I'm too tired to resist the weight of these grains as they fall into place, and the lines on my face I wanna learn to embrace. They depict a life lived, so why would I resist? Just is what it is.
Woo!
Was that the original key?
I don't remember. I think it was because I had already sung the melody, so I tried to find the closest thing I could to what was representative of how I sang it into my phone that first night. Yeah.
I was gonna say if it wasn't, it should be, because that was beautiful.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
What was the title of that song?
Hourglass. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This is an example. So a lot of the songs I write are from my perspective and from my lived experiences, but every once in a while I like give myself a homework assignment of writing someone else's story or something that I've observed, and they always end up being some of my favorites, so I should probably do more often, but this is a recent one that I did from that approach where it's about one of my best friends and two of her friends. The three of them are like three peas in a pod, and a couple years ago they did a trip to Alaska, and their primary mission was to find the Northern Lights. And I had heard like bits and pieces of this story, you know, from her since the trip happened. One of the stories was about this like argument that came up with her two friends, and it was the first time that those three individuals ever experienced tension in their friendship. And so, you know, she told me about it because it was like a big deal, and you know, and the moment they were like, it felt like the end of the world, right? Because it's like, we never fight, what's happening? And like, we're supposed to be on this like fun trip together. So I knew about that story, right? And I knew that they had resolved it. I just didn't know the timeline of when it was resolved. And then separately, she told me one day more about their experience when they eventually did find the Northern Lights, how it was their like second to last night in Alaska. They were at like some hot spring resort with a lot of light pollution. And so they thought that their chance to like see the lights was over. It was already nighttime. They were heading back to their RV that they rented, which was in the parking lot. And the way she told the story was like this local woman like ran up to us and she was a hippie, and she was like, look above you, they're dancing all night, like, don't miss it. And I was like, that's a great image, right? And so they're like, wait, really? We couldn't see them from the parking lot because of the lights. So they got in their RV and they drove out, I don't know how far, to like a really dark field, and they found the lights there. And she was telling me how beautiful of an experience it was, and how the three of them just stood there in awe for like hours, and like they were like going between laughing and crying. And so she tells me this whole story, and then she goes, oh yeah, like that was actually the same day that we were fighting, and we totally like forgot about it because of seeing the northern lights. And then the next morning they woke up and they like made up, and I was just like, this is a song. So yeah, I turned that into a little story, and it's as accurate as I could keep it without it losing its song presence. So it's called Dancing Song. Also, the end of this is going to be a little rough for me right now with my voice, but if I play it lower, the rest of it's going to be too low, so it is what it is. Central East Alaska, there's a trendy tourist trap. The best place to see the northern lights on this side of the map. Spend the day at Chena Hot Springs, and when nighttime rolls around, be prepared to witness magic from the comfy resort grounds. They'll be dancing above you, dancing without sound. So we set off in an RV to go find out for ourselves if the hike was worth the drive, what this magic stuff's about. But 2 weeks, 3 friends in 4 towns was the marathon itself. We saw a lot of sweet things, but the skies did hide themselves. They were dancing around us, dancing without sound. Hey. By the time we got to Chena, it was more than water hot. The trip tested our tempers, and our patience lost the plot. But as if she knew all along, we'd be needing perspective. A local in the parking lot ran up to us and said, hey girls, don't give up just yet, 'cause tonight's the kind of clear night you could see them for yourselves if you just get a grip and away from these street lights that might reveal themselves. And they were dancing above us, talk this much during your show, so like the amount of songs I can do in an hour is like skewed right now for me. So this song falls under the category of approaches I take when I take a chord shape and I slide it around the neck a bunch until I find sounds that work together, and then I build the song around that. So this is not like these types of songs, especially I'm like especially when I have like usually I play this song up here, but I'm playing it a step down today. But yeah, I'm like I could figure it out if I really tried to, but I don't want to. And also my band members all play by ear, so they just figure it out for me. I was gonna do a different song, but I can't do it today because like there is no option to lower the key because I don't use a cable for it. But that one literally is like just one chord shape the whole time. This one I do change it on the choruses, but it's still under the same category because it started off as just like one chord shape and then it grew from there. It's called Stomach. Sick in the stomach again. You brought him up again. Patiently waiting for when you want me instead. Take some time, take some space. Hop across the pond. I'll renegotiate what it is I think I feel. So if you hop back, I won't even notice you left. Yeah, that'd be ideal. 'Cause I'm sick in the stomach again. Picturing you with him when it could be instead. It's an image I can't digest though. Try putting it to rest, but my body doesn't forget. You say I love you like it's nothing. So nowadays I second guess responding. I could say it 'cause it's true, but I don't think you mean it the way I do. And I do. And I'm sick in the stomach again. You brought him up again. My mind's been on you instead. It's an idea I can't digest though. The mind can play pretend, but the body doesn't forget. But you left before I could confess. Oh, how it twists and it do. This is an example of a song where I smushed two separate things together again, but also then from like a recording perspective, I ended up splitting it apart on my album, and like this song has it's very distinctive, like two parts. Like there's a strumming part that opens it up, and then I go into like a finger picking thing. And as I was recording my album, I started thinking more about like marketing strategies, and like it sucks to have to keep this in mind to some degree, but if a song is really long or it doesn't always perform as well, like streaming, you know what I mean? And we're in the age of streaming, and like, so and a lot of my songs are like 4 to 4.5 minutes, which is already long for like mainstream music. Not that I like care about being mainstream, but I do care about like giving my songs a chance for people to like latch onto them. And I know that like, especially in my generation and younger, people's attention spans are short. So I made the decision to chop this song into 2 separate tracks. So the part I play first, that's like the strumming thing, ended up being just like a 1-minute intro track on the album. And it worked out because all I'm saying in the first half of the song is, will you run away or do you want to stay? Like that's literally the extent of the lyrics, but it kind of sums up the message of the album. My album's called To Go and Grow. So even though I was kind of sacrificing the intention of this song by splitting it, it artistically still felt like it was serving a purpose by putting it at the start of the album. And then that made the second half of the song only like a 3-minute song. So it's one of my shorter songs now, like recording wise. And it's actually the song that's performing the best on streaming right now. So I'm glad I chose to do that, because I really think if I kept it all together, that wouldn't have happened. So a little recording insight for you there. But yeah, the song is called Flight Mode. Another approach to this is I knew I wanted to have a song called Flight Mode, and it was about resisting my urge to like that fight or flight response, because I'm relatively newer to the whole music world, and it was a huge step outside my comfort zone to start gigging, especially before I got my guitar playing a little better. And I was at a place where I was like, am I gonna like go for it, or am I gonna retreat back into my comfort zone? So that's why the song is called Flight Mode. Undertow, bodies fat and MMA. Yeah, I'm past 50. chin in my sunken eyelid reveals all that I'm really wanting. My choice is near to let it in and let go of the fear. What the girls don't know is that they're only real without light. So think twice before resorting to take flight. I also meant to say, yes, one more, okay. Yeah.
Where do you record?
So when I started recording my album, like, I think in November, it'll have been 2 years ago, and it came out in July. I started at Subcat Studios because my friend and bandmate, and who also is like a mixing engineer and recording engineer, was working there at the time, but they've kind of closed down. I don't know if that's like, I don't know if people know that yet, but they're like, they're still there, but it's called Studio Central now, and they're doing, I think it's owned by like a movie TV firm now. So when my producer left Subcat, we started going to Hoban Studios. So the initial early days of the recording, like when we were doing full band sessions, was at Subcat. By the time we went to Hoban, all the drums and bass and stuff like that were laid, and it was mostly like vocals and guitar overdubs there. And then my producer also has a home studio, so that's where we finished it off. Yeah. This is my last song. I told my best friend, I was like, I don't know if I should do this song because it can be kind of sad. She was like, you should do it. I was like, okay. I wrote this song for my grandma. She passed away at the beginning of the year in January. And I'm closing with this one because it's kind of, I don't like to play stuff after it, but also it's an example of knowing what I want to say but having no idea how. And I remember I was just kind of like messing around with the guitar. Like this one really came like guitar first. I knew it was going to be called Bye For Now because my grandma always used to say, bye for now. Like she would never just say goodbye. It was always bye for now, like for as long as I can remember. And I always thought that was beautiful. And like, especially in like, you know, when someone passes, it's like, what does bye for now mean now, you know? So I was like toying with different stuff on the guitar, and when I got down what I'm about to play, like I remember I started like playing this part and I was like, oh my god, this is it, and I just like cried because it was just a feeling. It's like sometimes you just have to keep going till you'll find the feeling, and when it matches what you want to say, then you know you have the right like starting point, I guess. Yeah, so. The veil was thin when you slipped in, cold and crisp. a phone call away. Honey, I love you, and I'm proud all the I held your hand, so small and we prepared for this. Whatever the hell it is. Goodbye for now. Somewhere, somehow, even from far, far away. Honey, I love you. It'll never fade. When the veil gets thin, will we meet again? This is really sweet. Thank you so much.
One more. You good?
You got one more?
I could do one more.
Yeah, one more. Sure.
Okay. Okay. I'll end on a nice little fun one then. Seems this is a song that I don't mind doing after my grandma's song because it's like about where I'm from. It's about where I was raised and stuff, so it's fitting. I grew up outside Buffalo in like a sort of rural town, and I'm really lucky to have had like a really big backyard, and there was woods in the yard and a creek, and me and all the neighborhood kids, we were obsessed with the creek. That's where we spent as much time as possible, and I remember talking to one of my family friends a couple years ago saying how sometimes I feel like I was actually raised by the creek, like literally, not just, like next to it, but I learned I feel like it was so formative, like spending time there, so I was like, I gotta make a song about that, being raised by the creek. So this is it. Bare feet tiptoe across pebbles, hands catch crayfish under stones, skin painted with a cool gray clay. place to sing in private, plus the occasional harmless kiss. Memories and theirs to do with. And through all the changes, I was raised by a creek in the valley. Oh, how I miss her so. Even though I chose to go and grow, I remember to return when I need her It sounded very lovely too. Thank you.
Jessy Elizabeth. Thank you for your songs, thank you for your stories, and thank you for the message.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you know, I can't resist practicing my stand-up routine. When Jessy was talking about her ADK song, the first thing that came to my mind when she said Lou, and I'm probably going to date myself, not probably not for most of the people in this room, was on Golden Pond.
Yeah.
Where Catherine Hepburn is saying to Norman, "The blues, my blues."